Now let's talk about data binding to datasets. The venerable dataset's been around a long time in the .NET space. Back in Windows Forms 1.0 and 2.0 days, there was a lot of guidance from Microsoft and others saying datasets are the way to go. You put all of your data in a dataset and life is good. Well, the truth is datasets are kind of fading in popularity. Most of the modern capabilities coming out in the .NET framework and in other technologies are really focused on entities, simple objects with properties to contain data, instead of treating everything as a relational set of data. And part of the reason for this is that with lots of flexibility comes complexity. When you used untyped datasets, you typically ended up with a lot of fragile, untyped code, lots of casting, indexing into columns with indexes or column names, and it tended to be very unmaintainable code. Once typed datasets came out in .NET 2.0, you could at least get away from the untyped aspects of that, and you could have objects with properties and dot into those properties as if they were entities, but they were really a poor man's entity, because you couldn't really leverage inheritance and polymorphism, and the concept of encapsulation that they had was a bit clunky. To have a single entity object, you always had to have a table with a single row in it. So you always had this extra layer of everything as a collection, even if it's not, which was a little weird to deal with. And the way that you would write code that was logically encapsulated by the dataset just didn't match up well with object-oriented concepts. However, all that being said, datasets are still out there and they're still useful at times. Untyped datasets in particular can still be useful in this modern day if you have places where you allow end users to formulate ad hoc queries where you don't know what the columns are going to be in the resulting record set. And the reality is none of us can start from scratch on every single application we build. We often need to maintain an existing application, maybe move it forward to a new UI technology like WPF, but we have to carry along some legacy code. And that legacy code itself may be dependent on datasets. So the good news is you can still use those in WPF. WPF data binding works just fine with datasets, both untyped datasets and typed datasets. However, it is worth pointing out that the later XAML stacks, Silverlight, Windows Phone, and WinRT, do not support data binding to datasets. So that's something to take into consideration if you're going to be writing code that supports your views, that pulls in your data sources, and you might be trying to move that forward to one of these other technologies in the future, then you would definitely want to avoid datasets. But with all that being said, let's dive into a demo and show you how you can easily work with datasets, and you'll see that the XAML really doesn't care. It treats those as objects and doesn't care whether it's working with columns or properties. The syntax is the same.